we go. Hello, everybody. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm seeing you laughing. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another The Games Tavern Happy Hour. I'm Mac, and tonight I'm joined by Reed over there. He's in some ethereal plane, apparently. And just welcome. So glad to have everyone here. So before we get started, it's a great opportunity to plug our Discord just a bit there. We're one of the places where it's blown up a lot recently, so there's a lot more conversation happening there. So check us out here. And I have a quick brag that I want to do. My D&D celebration hoodie finally came in.
Ooh, check you out, good sir.
So it's super fancy. So sorry I'm wearing a hoodie today as opposed to a normal collared shirt, but I figured it was worth being casual for.
Nice.
So what's been going on with you, Reed?
Actually been doing a lot of reading, Rime of the Frost Maiden, to be honest. Doing a little background lore investigations to make sure I'm not breaking anything coming up. And it looks like it's interesting.
They did reveal a lot of interesting stuff in that book. Which is, I think, worthwhile.
It certainly is. Yeah, and then making stuff from the Necronom Nom Nom.
Right, yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, and then for some reason I've got a necromantic ritual going on behind me. I'm not sure. Is it possibly based around the theme for tonight, maybe?
Possibly, yeah. So, in a brilliant segue, so tonight we're going to be talking not just about the news. We have some Kickstarter stuff that we want to talk about, too. Again, another quick brag about some cool piece of gear I picked up. And then after that, we're going to take a quick break and then roll into a discussion about how to sort of bring the holiday spirit to your table. The holiday spirit here being Halloween, because it's the best holiday of the year. And we're going to talk about that, some of the cool things you can do, some games that you can bring, and just general fun things that we've done. It's not all going to be turn up the mic, okay? Let's see, how about now? Is that sounding a little bit better for you? Hey, I have it up here. Read is much louder. Yeah, it is a problem. All right, how about that? Is it sounding a little better there? I'm seeing myself in the yellow.
There you go.
Perfect. Okay. So
sorry about that. I didn't realize that until somebody said something.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at this giant soundboard of nonsense. So anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and roll. Thanks, Kickapai. Let's go ahead and roll into the news here. So the first thing that I think most of our viewers are going to really care about is the D&D Beyond dev update. The biggest thing that they've done, there's two of them. There's the Player Tools app, which is now, as far as I'm concerned, functional. It's great. I'm actually quite happy to use this now. So the thing that they did, for anybody who's not tracking there at home or is only using the website, is they've made it now so that the spell and equipment descriptions are viewable in the action table. So you can actually, as if you were on the website, click on the, or I guess push, the spell that you want to cast or the item that you want to use, and it'll actually pull up just as if you were in native D&D Beyond on Google Chrome or Safari or whatever. And now you can actually read what the spell does and cast from there. Previously, it said the spell name and it let you cast, and that was it. Didn't give you a whole lot of the useful information you need, so unless you have everything memorized, it doesn't quite work. But now this is fantastic. I'm very excited to see this. I'm hoping people are going to start using this in their game. Next up, they're saying there's a digital dice roller coming for it, though.
Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, then you just have D&D in your pocket. You don't need to bring anything with you anymore.
I'm gonna keep bringing my dice.
Yeah. But in case like an emergency game of D&D breaks out, it's like, yeah, sure.
You gotta always be prepared for those emergencies. I actually keep emergency dice on me now too. That's happened enough times that it's just actually a requirement.
I'm confused how that keeps happening to you, but okay.
D&D players are everywhere, man. Just everywhere.
That is true. And then the other thing that they've updated is last week we talked about the Sage Advice and Errata compendium that came out, and there was a lot of information there, so they're saying that they've got that in. One of the things that they are still working on is Orcs and Kobolds change, because they did change some of their racial stats. They removed the negative modifiers and changed a couple of the sort of the features in this game, right? It's not feats, it's features for the race features that are now available. So that's good times. If you play one of those character races or you want to, it's going to be fully available soon. And then, of course, they're working on Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. They've been talking about that for about 2 months now, watching the dev updates. And, we're still working on it. So there's a lot of content coming in Tasha's. which I'm excited about. And then we'll have to sit down with the all the casts of all the shows to see what we're going to use, what are we not going to use.
Oh yeah, it's game changing in terms of everything from Adventurers League to live play to home games to you name it. It's going to change a lot.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that like they included the rules for Doppelganger in Rime of the Frost Maiden right there. I'm hoping that those are going to hit some non-campaign book. That would be cool. I know that a bunch of people in the cast are excited about the new Ranger rules because apparently Ranger's kind of a pants class to be picking at the moment. So
well, they've been working on updating it for a long time. The Unearthed Arcana Ranger kind of fixed a lot of the issues that they had for a while with
playtest doesn't count.
No, I mean the UA Ranger still had some. I mean, there's still some other things they did to it since then, but it's one of those things that in the process of updating it, they brought the class into a more functional gameplay class for a lot of people. I personally had no major problems with the Ranger. I used mine as an outdoorsy kind of guy, but the issue was they were like a one-trick pony, they thought.
Yeah, the common complaint I think is if you built a Ranger for the woods and specifically for that, like as your favorite terrain, if you're not in exactly your favorite terrain, then it's like, well, I'm useless today.
You don't get as many advantages.
Yeah, and I think the whole class is built around. I've never played a 5th edition Ranger, so I don't know. But I can, I can hear what people are complaining about and be like, yes, that sounds like a problem. But this apparently fixes it.
Yeah, I always felt they were pretty much a very flexible class. They had a lot of the benefits of fighters. They had a lot of benefits of the quarter caster or half caster, depending on how you looked at it. And they had a lot of benefits of the skill monkey that we get from a rogue as well, just in a different genre. So definitely a lot of opportunities to see how they've improved it even further.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Tasha's coming out. That's coming out late next month. So we have a little bit, or mid next month actually, coming out there. So that should be a good time. But first release, or next release that's coming out that I'm personally most excited about, and we're going to get into this more in the second half, but my Curse of Strahd revamped is coming next week. So
yeah.
They have updated some of the errata on that one and talked about the changes that they made. A lot of it was focusing on the Vishtani and on the character Esmeralda, how they portray them and make them in a more sensitive manner. That's not just, hey, here are racial stereotypes of Eastern European people. It's like, nope, we're changing that a little bit because I can see that being a problem. But I think that's all of our D&D Beyond Dev update news. We sort of ran down a rabbit hole with Tasha's Cauldron of everything there. Anything else you want to talk about in D&D Beyond before we move on?
The Encounter Builder Alpha is still awesome. Keep working on it. Keep improving it. Keep giving your feedback to D&D Beyond. Yeah. They're loving it. So.
Yeah, I've been playing around with that one. It's interesting. I'm not sure if my problems with it are the system's bad or just I don't know how to work that way. Like I have piles of notes all around me. It's all handwritten, and so that could just be a Mac doesn't know how to work automation. I think that's the issue there.
I'll run you through a tutorial on the Discord.
Oh, fun. Okay. Yeah. All right.
And anyone else who wants to join us, we'll schedule it. Yeah.
That's how you mainly do your stuff is on the D&D Beyond Encounter Builder now.
Outside of the creative idea of where you're going to be and all that, it helps me. Yeah, I do build a lot of the encounters on the Encounter Builder, and then I run the very specific encounters in the new what do you call that?
I know the one you're talking about.
The combat tracker.
Yes.
So I run it in the combat tracker, and that has been interesting to see how combat tracker is updating.
Yeah.
And how because combat trackers in alpha, encounter builders in strong beta. I'm very happy with the encounter builder, and the combat tracker is really making life easier. I even use it on stream, so it's actually pretty functional that way.
Yeah, and if you can get that to work on stream with all of the other things that you're having to keep track of, cool. That's a plus in its category.
It helps me manage a lot of things. Now, I've got some feedback for them, but yeah, definitely some opportunities.
So we were, we're going to transition a little bit away from the high fantasy D&D and go into something I think at least a little more near and dear to my heart, and I'm thinking you're going to enjoy this one too.
Okay.
So over the every time that we've mentioned Warhammer 40,000, we've had a couple people in the chat be like, "Yeah, give us more of this." So I'm gonna try and appease them. So Games Workshop
Because you're such a giver.
Yeah, that's and it's not because I just want to talk about it. So Games Workshop has announced a new model. It's I believe it's up for pre-order now or this coming Saturday. It is a Satan Shard of the Void Dragon. It's a Necron's model. And it's kind of a big deal. So let's go ahead and drop the picture there for everybody to take a look at. It is a monstrously large model here.
Yeah,
probably about
it's
a
sizable.
foot high. Yeah, it's a very, very cool looking model. And if you don't play or don't read any of the Warhammer 40K or Warhammer Horus Heresy books, the Void Dragon, or play the games, the Void Dragon's not really a useful thing for you to know about. So we'll wave you down when it's time for you to get back in here. But basically, we don't know who this guy is. There's some speculation that at one point the Emperor went to Mars in basically prehistory and fought the dragon, and that became like the cultural identity or the cultural myth of Saint George and the Dragon somehow, or it's the actual machine god that half of the Imperium worships. Sorry, cats are making a pile of noise behind me. So there's a lot of cool speculation.
Spooky theme.
Yeah,
spooky
exactly.
theme. Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool speculation happening here about the Satan Shard. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to here. But what were you thinking about on this one, Richard? Or Reed?
Well, I got to say this model is spectacular. They really kind of broke through and tried something new and different with not only having the smooth, elegant, organic lines of the model that they have, but mixing it in with the digital pixelated feel as it's reforming. You get a sense with this particular miniature of the action occurring. It's not just a static model and a static heroic pose. You actually sense and feel the green coruscating power coming off of the Noctis stone within, and the other digital pixelation effect as it ripples through the model because of the way they've done it. And not only that, they actually did their homework on it a little bit. They built the model to make it easy to paint that pixelated pattern. They built it into the model itself.
Yeah.
So you're not having to try to paint little perfect squares everywhere. It's actually in the plastic.
Well, I've zoomed in on it here for everybody to take a look at, and it's exactly what you're talking about. It goes through the model. It's not even like a scale on the model itself. I don't know why I'm gesturing. No one can see me. But it's not a overlay. It's actual part of the model there, and it's really cool. So if everybody there can see that, it is really awesome.
Absolutely spectacular. And inside the chest is even a piece of the stone that powers it. And you can see how the electric or the green power that's flowing from that stone is pushed throughout its body and powering up the various other factors around it. And then the other thing is it's a shard of the Void Dragon. So it's not the actual Void Dragon Satan. It's a piece of him.
And the Satan are gods that the ancient robots that populate the galaxy that are now asleep for millions of years. They're gods that they worship. So if
a little more complex than that, but I appreciate the good. You're taking a good couple swings at it, buddy. You're doing great.
I'm a Space Marines player. I have some Imperial Guard somewhere, like an orcs.
Yeah.
Like that's the lore I get.
Okay. Well, the energy of that beast is what's reflecting behind me right now. So I don't dare say anything bad about our new Necron overlords. However, what I will say is that they also even put the details on the creature behind it that's keeping it in place and making sure it stays loyal.
Well, for years, for about 5 or 6 years now, we've really seen this kind of modeling. Games Workshop's been pushing the envelope with this large kind of scale floating monster thing. First thing I can really think of is the new Nagash, came out at the End Times 5 years ago. And that was really the first one that happened of this style of swirling energies around a giant humanoid thing, and it's gotten so much better since then, and that model was already amazing. Speaking of amazing models that they're kicking out, they've announced a new Warhammer event this year. It's going to be digital only again, but they're calling it Warhammer Day. I think that they've done this a couple years in the past also, but the cool things about Games Workshop events is they big ones at least, they typically have an event model. And this one is a cool new Terminator chaplain for Space Marines. I'm dropping that on the screen there. It is exactly what you'd expect for a Terminator chaplain. He's wearing black armor, has a skull face, and a Crozius. It's a cool time. The thing I'm most interested about for this one, though, is that it's a regular Space Marine as opposed to a Primaris Marine.
Is it?
It is, yeah. There are no Terminator Primaris Marines. They all use the Aggressor platform or the Gravis armor. This is a straight-up Terminator Indomitus class, I think, but I could have that wrong. But so this is the pre Marines before Call and Gullman came back, which is an interesting business decision. I know in the community, there's been a lot of talk about, are they going to let Space Marines, the original ones, just sort of die off and let the line go away, or are they going to kick everything up to Primaris, or they're going to be supporting both lines? As far as I can tell, this is the first actual Space Marine model that's come out since the normal Space Marine model that's come out since the Primaris line has dropped. There's been a couple of re-releases, but this is the first one that's a full new sculpt, which is really cool. The line is probably not going away this year, which is great. But otherwise, it's just a cool model. I want everyone to see that. Warhammer Day, I'm getting a question, is happening on Halloween. So you can check it out. They usually have some kind of streaming event where, like, hey, check out this news that we're doing. They're also doing that this Saturday. There's a couple more previews that are coming up. So they've really sort of transitioned to a lot of digital releases or digital news for the pandemic. But I think that is enough Warhammer news here.
There's never enough Warhammer news, sir.
Okay, let's see. Where's I hear my notes. Yeah. So you were mentioning you were doing a lot of reading of the Icewind Dale stuff, and I'm sure you're aware. Icewind Dale is R.A. Salvatore's sort of his area of the world that he likes to play in.
Oh yeah.
What if I told you could buy, for a pretty good deal, you could get yourself 32 R.A. Salvatore novels for $15 and be supporting the Extra Life charity? Would that be a thing you'd be interested in?
I'd say shut up and take my money.
Well, well, I wouldn't take your money, but Humble Bundle would. Humble Bundle is running and this is ending tomorrow, so if you are interested in the R.A. Salvatore novels, you've got to check it out. This is a very close timeline here. It is exactly what I just said. It's 32 books for $15. You get something like 8 or 9 books for $1, and then you can add more money on to unlock additional tiers. Humble Bundle is a really cool charity. It's not a charity themselves, but they work with charities and developers to release content at rock bottom prices that then goes out and helps out the community. This year they're going with Extra Life, which I'm pretty sure most people in the community are aware of. But can you give us a rundown on Extra Life, Reed, or want me to dive in?
Sure. Extra Life is a wonderful charity that helps support a variety of causes, but most importantly, it's something that gamers can do that actually supports those charities as well. So by playing games and supporting the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, you get to play games and have a good time. And so they typically do fundraise year-round and during a 24-hour gaming marathon each fall. I believe there's one coming up.
A lot of streams kind of try and dive in on that and do like, hey, I'm going to marathon here until I raise X amount of money, or I pass out, one of the two. So it's kind of a cool way to to engage with your audience on something meaningful. And
there's nothing better than helping the Children's Miracle Network. I mean, who doesn't want to help kids that could use a little extra?
Yeah,
that are hurting otherwise. Yeah,
you got to help them.
Yeah,
and this is a great way to do it. If I personally actually haven't read any Salvatore, so I'm probably going to be diving in on this.
This is your opportunity, good sir.
It is. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the first 4 Dritz books, which is, I guess I can go find them at a used bookstore. But
yes, you can.
But it does not only just it doesn't have just the Legend of Dritz novels. It also has the Cleric Quintet, another set I've never read, but I've heard wonderful things about. R.A. Salvatore is kind of a legend in the fantasy novel world. So if you're interested in that, that's absolutely something you guys should check out. The link is in the chat over there. Humble Bundle does some good work, and I've picked up some things from them in the past. Highly recommend you guys do. It's always a bunch of great, cheap stuff. And he helps a good cause.
Absolutely.
So staying in the sort of tangential world to fantasy gaming, or to D&D, there is a new Baldur's Gate 3 computer game that's out right now. And it's not exactly our wheelhouse, but we can talk about it because it's fun news.
Speak for yourself. It sounds like a great game to me.
I've never played it. I've been meaning to pick it up, but I've gotten distracted so many times this week. But it's out for anybody who's not aware. I believe you can get it on Steam or just Google it.
Wherever you buy your PC games.
True. I believe it's like a small party. You guys go through and do cool adventures in Baldur's Gate and probably in Inverness, or just own an inn. I don't know. But the thing that is the whole reason we're even talking about this is the developers ran the numbers and they're like, all right, we are curious if we were to take all of the most common attributes of every single character that our players have built and made a single character that looks like that with those stats and everything, what would it be? They were very disappointed, like incredibly disappointed, because it's this guy. I believe they named him Venture Forth, and very specifically what they said was, congratulations guys, you've basically made the default vault dweller. What the hell, guys? We gave you demon eyes, horns, and even tails. We are sorely disappointed. Go crazy. We worked hard on this. So yeah, they're not
maybe that
happy.
just goes to show that people do like normal humans.
Yeah, it's it's the perfect race to pick if you're boring, and the developers feel that way too. So yeah, that's the bit of news that we have on Baldur's Gate. I just thought everyone would find that very amusing, because I found it very amusing to see that. Just play dwarf or play an elf or something that's not that guy.
Yeah. Hey, Rolls with Advantage. Good to see you out there today.
All right. Let's see. So it's been kind of a slower news week, which I'm okay with. But because people have out there shouted at us and said, hey, we want to know more Kickstarter projects to throw our money at, I've been selflessly diving into Kickstarter for you guys. And we have found a couple cool things. I'm a hero. What can I say? So the first one, and this is the one I'm most personally excited about, just because it themes with so many things we're talking about today. It's called Nazi Dracula Must Die. I've thrown a link in the chat there for everyone.
You're talking about a title that tells you exactly what you need to do in this game.
So Nazi Dracula Must Die is... looking at everything that they're doing there, to me it looks a lot like sort of like the Hellboy setting, where magic does exist and it happens in World War II, or at least part of it does. And basically Dracula has decided to ally himself with with Axis forces. The players are all going to play characters from the Allies and go and fight him. So I have a cool little action photo for everybody to check out, if I can find it. Here we go. Nazi Dracula Must Die. So you can go to that website and download a top secret preview. I don't make it see me do this. You can download a rules preview, effectively, a primer, and check it out. So that's the art there. You get your not Captain America. You get your someone who's working with Merlin, effectively, for the British, because Merlin's real too. And you get a character who's very clearly not Mad Jack Churchill. So it's all a whole bunch of really fun stuff there. And then Dracula looming over you in the corner.
You can even play the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah, there's pilots, and it's a really cool setting there, and it's a 5e campaign setting, and the art looks really fun, the lore itself looks really cool. It looks like mainly they're building on trying to have alternate subclasses to existing Dungeons & Dragons classes, so they don't have to completely rebuild the engine. And it's like, hey, as opposed to being a warlock that works with a demon, you can have your patron can be Pan. Cool, why not? Or you could be a rogue with a sniper rifle. That works for me too. So there's a lot of really cool, interesting stuff there. So I highly recommend checking them out. If for no other reason, just to see some more of this really cool art and see if that's the kind of thing that you want to throw into, maybe run around your table, because Halloween is coming up. This is going to be this could be a fun one to run And the adventure itself is perfect for a one-shot. It's a 5th level. They're saying it runs 2 hours, so expect 4, which is still about the maximum people can enjoy for a random game.
And if you do check out the names that are attached to this particular project, it's almost a who's who of who's worked in this field and have quite a bit of notice and name for themselves for putting out great quality projects. You've got Anthony Joy, Sadie Lowry, MT Black, Justice Arman, Amber Lidkey, Ashley Warren, Brian Patterson, Daniel Kwan. I mean, the list goes on and on. Latia Jaquise, for example. You can't get a better group of people working on this. And I didn't even name all the names, so definitely go check this one out.
There's a lot of people working on this project, so
you'll be very excited about this particular project. Yeah.
So one of the other, so that's the campaign setting of the week that I want to throw your way in the Kickstarter roundup. Another thing that I'm a big fan of, and this is happy hour, so I think we need to figure out a way to do some more nerdery on the rocks kind of stuff. There is a Kickstarter out there for something called Ice Dice. They are exactly what they sound like. They are dice made of ice. What you do, and I'm going to drop that in there, is you basically end up buying a mold that you then fill with water, freeze, and you get yourself a polyhedral set made of ice.
This is a Kickstarter?
It is, yeah. Link is in the chat right now.
I think I think I've just been made very happy. my D&D themed cocktails and accoutrement shall be amazing.
Yeah, they are. I'm actually very excited about this one because I think it'll be pretty cool. Let's see, we have Making It Thirsty, Play It Cool, that pun. Yeah.
Oh wow, they even have some upgrades that are amazing as well with tumblers with D20 on them, an ice bucket, extra molds, and coasters.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can get.
This is pretty killer, man.
And I'm probably gonna pick it up just because it's I need something for my sad lonely existence here when I'm not leaving the house.
Holy moly! Do you know how much bigger this thing is already than the original goal?
I don't, because I haven't checked it in past.
So the original goal was like $5,217. They're at $400,000 plus dollars on this thing.
Have they unlocked any of the cool kick?
They probably unlocked everything under the sun, man.
Because I know they had some stretch goals when I was looking at it
20, 31. Let's see what their biggest stretch goal is. They've unlocked just about everything. Man.
Okay.
Holy.
Oh, here we go. You can get they're putting out something else you can pick up along with them. They're calling them Dragon Ice. It looks like just cool little dragon heads that you can also do the same thing, freeze them, and you get some cool stuff there. So, yeah, this is if anybody out there is watching it and in the need for or feels a mighty need to be buying me presents, check out that link.
The Ice Dice Collection, man, oh man,
that is some cool stuff. Yeah. So this is why I love Kickstarters, because you're not gonna find a company that's just gonna we're gonna make this happen on something weird like this, because you need to have enough buy-in.
Even the glasses on this, like the tumblers that they've got, each glass has a separate alignment etched into it.
Oh, does it really? I missed
that.
That's
yeah.
Amazing. Check these out, guys. This is if you need something else to make your home games a little more, bring them up above the edge, go for it. I don't think these will roll well.
Well, they'll melt.
The D4 explicitly does not roll because it's just a number on each side, so they apologize profusely in one of the videos. But yeah, they're cool. Pick them up or check them out at least. And then the last one that I ended up scouring out there just because I personally really do like cool gaming accessories, and I'm a sucker for a dice tower, is a project called Dice Towers. I'll go ahead and drop a chat in there, or a link in there for everybody in the chat. It's nothing too insane or wild. They're pretty nice looking MDF and acrylic dice towers, but they're actually at a pretty cool affordable price. I believe that you can get 4 of the personal dice towers, so enough for game night, and everybody has their own for like $100. And I just thought that was a cool project for everybody to take a look at.
That I mean, for a low cost MDF dice with velvet felt tray, not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's got some potential.
Yeah, and they have a whole bunch of interesting etchings that they have on there, and everyone comes with a free set of dice. So it's, it seems like a fair price for what you're paying for, or for what you're getting. And it's a cool, I'm a sucker for dice towers. I always got to plug them when I see them if they're, if they're cool. Yeah, I think that's that. Did we put a link in there? We did. We use, I know, like Zatara uses, Prim uses dice towers all the time when she's, at least when we were playing.
When we were in the studio, she was using two, one
Yeah.
for each sword, because she was awesome like that. She'd roll in both of them. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of them. When I'm running games in person, I try to have dice towers that are themed. Unfortunately, that means I've bought probably 2 or 3 dozen dice towers because I drop them and they immediately shatter. So that's me. So I like having spares around. But yes, so Rob out there is saying, dinosaur. Yes, they in fact do have a dinosaur that you can have as your engraved acrylic. So that's cool. If there's a Kickstarter out there that you guys are interested in, you want us to talk about, you want us to bring some more noise to, and see if anybody wants to dive in on it and talk, basically hide out on the show, let us know in our Discord. We have a chat open for just everyone to come and talk about us, talk about the Games Tavern Happy Hour, and have a good time there. So if there's any projects or news that you want us to bring up at the next episode, let us know. And the final thing I want to go over before we take a break here and then get into the the particularly fun stuff is a little bit of digging into my own stuff that I've purchased recently. Not only did I get myself the Waterdeep Dragon Heist dice, which are fine.
Yeah, I saw that when you were showing those on the Discord.
But I also picked up the Icewind Dale dice set. Ooh, ah.
You got them both?
I did, yeah, because I was looking for the Icewind Dale ones.
Mm-hmm.
But then the local store that I was there actually had the Dragon Heist ones. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to... I have far too many themed sets anyway, so I'm not going to let one slip through my fingers. So if you're, if you haven't seen them, let's go ahead and transition in here, show you guys what the Rime of the Frost Maiden dice set looks like. It's really nice. I can't recommend it enough if you like collectible dice sets.
I like that you did that with the finest photographic skill set you could possibly do. That's an excellent lighting. That's good. I don't know how you got it to
like an unboxing vibe. Yeah,
because it looks like it's defying gravity the way you did that. So that's actually pretty impressive. I gotta say,
not being held up by a candle. So that's the box there. It's got some pretty good stuff on it. It's nice enough, but far more importantly is the stuff you actually get in the box. I'm a big sucker for these kinds of dice sets because I like all the extra accoutrement there. The first thing you're going to notice is the dice. They're fine dice. They roll like you expect Dungeons and Dragons dice to roll. They're absolutely fine. They have the map where it actually shows you the 10 towns on the other side and the overall Icewind Dale on this side. I've lost somehow my Waterdeep map from the L'Oreal Silverhand set, but that's super useful to actually be able to have a map and pass it around the table and be like, hey, this is where we are, this is where we're going. That kind of stuff I find is really useful. And then, of course, there's the art array up at the top where it actually shows off a bunch of the various creatures and monsters that you're going to be running into. And on the reverse of those, they talk about them, but from the perspective of Dritz. Dritz is your narrator for this dice set, which is pretty cool. All of the others, a couple of the other sets have had somebody that's big in the world explaining it, like the L'Oreal Silverhand dice set had L'Oreal Silverhand explaining a couple of the big denizens on the Sword Coast. All the cool stuff that you run into or interesting locations. So I love things that are sort of feel like artifacts that fell out of the world. So that's, again, just weird random stuff that I buy. So I do recommend picking up this dice set. I do have a complaint on it, though. And this is a problem that I didn't know I needed until I picked up the other set there. So it does come with 2 D20s, but they're the same size as all the other dice. The L'Oreal Silverhand dice set had their D20s are like a size and a half larger. So you can very quickly go grab those dice and throw them without having to be fumbling around. which is just something I enjoyed. And I kind of, very mildly disappointed that they didn't include it in this one. It's not enough for me to say, no, don't buy this dice set. It's just all right, well, that's disappointing. But anyway, moving on with our life. But, it's always I enjoy having new dice all the time. And I'm going to keep buying.
Will the bigger dice fit in your dice towers, though?
Yeah.
Some of those are tight fits.
Yeah. If you... that is hard. I know some dice towers are thicker, but some of them don't even roll like D20s in them. You have to have a D4 or a D6. I guess it depends on who your dice tower manufacturer is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any cool things you've picked up this week that we need to talk about before we go on to break here, and reset?
Nothing super cool new. Just working on. Mostly Halloween type decorations, to be honest, because it's a great time to pick up cool stuff to decorate for the, when you're doing your theme games and your horror based games, as well as stuff that sometimes also makes great scenery for the tabletop as well. So mostly things like skulls and cool masks and stuff like that. But really it's been low key. It's been low key. I've just been reading that Rime of the Frost Maiden and building up a lot of lore background in case you guys decide to go left instead of right.
Are you reading it beginning to end, or
no? I'm less interested in the adventure, although it does look good from the bits that I've picked up through it, as the different locations and the lore behind them.
Gotcha.
As well as any specific tidbits that are about how does this area function, what is the background and stuff like that. If for the adventure part, that's a different type of reading.
True.
I just want to know as much as I can about the spine of the world in that part of the world, just in case something heads that way.
Then you might want to pick up this dice set.
I absolutely might.
So we have rolls with advantage saying, like your original D20s. Okay, cool. And again, this is a problem I didn't realize I needed, or I had, and I was like, oh, that's nicer. But cool. Yeah, that's it's not going to stop me from buying fancy dice sets in the future either. All right, we're going to take a quick break here, guys, and we'll be back in a few minutes with Rob, and we're going to talk about just fun, spooky ways to get your players in the mood for Halloween. So sit tight, and we'll be right back, everybody. Hey, everybody, welcome back.
Hey,
You know, as you can see, change. Oh, hang on, I got the wrong name.
we got an extra guy.
We do. Everyone, hang tight. I'm gonna have you guys labeled wrong.
That's okay. I'm Reed Denton, and
I'm Rob.
yes.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that, everybody, or people who cared. I don't know. So welcome back. So one of the things that we're trying to do more is have some more just fun conversation about everybody, or with everybody, about everybody. We're just going to talk about everyone behind their back. So today, because it is still early in October, one of the big questions we've had going around in the tavern is how do you sort of get in the mood? What's the way that you guys are doing to get your games going in a sort of spooky manner? How are you going to celebrate? Because Halloween trick-or-treating probably going to be a little difficult this year. Halloween parties are also probably going to be a little hard. But we can do a lot of role-playing games over the internet. We can do a whole bunch of that fun stuff. And, it's just fun stuff to be spooky with anyway. So before we get running on this, there's a quote that Jeremy Crawford threw up onto Twitter a couple days ago that I feel is worth a way to, kick the conversation off and going. And he said that when running a D&D horror game, try going beyond the usual tropes like jump scares, gore, and sinister cackling. Think of the movie Cabin in the Woods or Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing. Horror can say interesting things about who we are and even be funny. Which, yeah, that's very fair. I'm a big fan of horror that is more than just, and a guy jumps out at you with a chainsaw. Having a little more psychological or cerebral horror, I think, is a really fun way to do that.
So, I will say this right now: Alan Moore's run on Swamp Thing is amazing. Unfortunately, those comics cost like $40 each now. So, yeah. Unless you have a subscription to the DC Virtual Comic Service, good luck.
Those are some great comics.
Yeah,
fantastic stuff.
But it's also body horror, which is a little bit different from what we may be going through with October style ghosts and witches and whatnot.
Well, you can have spooky body, because I would say that the Thing, the movie The Thing is body horror. It is gory, but it is also body horror.
Oh yeah. Again, I'm not saying it's off track. It's just it's a different flavor, and This is the very important thing: is you got to make sure that everybody at your table is going to be comfortable with the idea of body horror, because not everybody wants to play Human Centipede.
I've never seen Human Centipede.
I don't see the problem.
Yeah. See, so again, different people, different opinions. Very important that you check with your table and make sure that everybody at your table is comfortable with whatever kind of horror themes you want to work with, but especially if you're going to do body horror. A little bit of jump scare, a little bit of cackling, a little bit of Vincent Price channeling. All of that is fine. But if you're going to run deep and really get into it, talk to your table first and make sure that everybody's up for it. Otherwise, you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Sorry, someone just dropped a beer off at the desk.
Oh, man.
Like, oh, my God.
You've got
beer service.
Welcome to the happy hour.
I finally found a benefit to having a roommate. It's great.
Yeah.
No, that's just the spare Mac.
You've already got a Simulacrum?
Yeah, no, I have a spare Mac over there. I am a twin. That's where that's coming from. Anyway, and they get to live here right now. So anyway, yeah, that's
genetically engineered extra Macs.
In case I die, happy hour can continue. But the big point here that we're coming up with on horror, and Rob, you hit the nail on the head, that absolutely needs to be discussed, is that horror has to be a consensual thing around the table. Everybody has to know what it is you're talking about, and know what, be comfortable with the left and right limits of where we're going. One of the big things in the Call of Cthulhu game that I'm running, is that our session zeros were less about, hey guys, here's how you play Call of Cthulhu, and here's how the mechanics of this game work, more along the lines like, hey, I want to make sure I'm not going to cross some line out there for you that I didn't realize, or I thought was perfectly fine, or it's spooky, and actually cross into the line of genuinely traumatizing the people that are playing the game or unearthing other trauma. So when you're playing with horror, you gotta tread carefully. Everybody's signing up to be scared. No one's signing up to have terrible things from their past get drug out. So you need to talk to your players.
Yep, that's the first and most important step if you want to run something really spooky. Again, I think every group should be fine with a jump scare. Every group should be fine with a villain that channels their inner Vincent Price. Every group should be fine with a little bit of cackling. But again, if you're going to go beyond that, it's very important to have that conversation. Hey, are you guys okay with this? Hey, do you guys have any personal phobias or religious beliefs that I need to be aware of before we start dealing with this kind of stuff? Granted, you're probably playing D&D or something that already has stuff that goes into territories that may be phobic or off limits for people. And you may have already had this conversation indirectly, but it's still important if you're going to do something that's really horror focused to have that conversation again, because am I generally okay with the idea of ghouls and zombies and ghosts? Sure. Do I want to deal with that for an entire evening if I have a phobia about it? No.
Yeah, and so it's just talking to your players as a DM or GM or master or game master or keeper or whatever your system of choice is. 99% of your problems will be solved by just talking to your players. So that's that's a worthwhile thing to be going. But I think we've kind of beat this dead horse enough.
Yeah, very important. But yes, let's talk about how to scare your players, because that's what we're really all about, right?
Yeah.
So Mac, I know that you tend to run a lot of old school, and a lot of, you used to run a lot of D&D, but now you play D&D.
Yeah.
But you still run old school, and add a lot of that, like the dungeon crawl, the trap building. It's very close to an actual horror setting. What are you gonna do to move over that line from, hey man, creepy dungeon, to, hey man, super creepy dungeon?
Well, that depends on what system I'm running or where I'm going. I'm going to go with DCC for, just as, in my opinion, they are the kings of old school. Mm-hmm. It says it in their name, Dungeon Crawl Classics. And that's kind of a great way to get in there and play with horror, because that world is already very dangerous. The game itself is already super deadly. So being able to change it from oh no, we're going to die in a fight against goblins, to oh no, we're going to die in a fight and our souls are going to be sucked out by this vampire thing, that's not too hard of a leap to make. And I think that works really well. One of the things that I love about Goodman Games, the way that they produce things, is the games don't take themselves too seriously anyway. So they have a lot of really interesting modules that they put out that are legitimate 100% canon, because canon doesn't matter in old school gaming. And one of them is their DCC horror line. There are 7, I believe, in there. There's 6 in there. There's we've done one Halloween module on screen. That was Creep Scrag Creep, when Reed and a couple people were on a boat and just horrible things happened. It was basically Alien, was what
is that. Is that what the name of that one was?
Yep.
Creep Scrag
Creep. Yeah.
Yeah. That was it. There was that culminating moment at the end where we're like, kill it. We didn't even know if we were going to do it, and we got lucky, I think, because we got a lot of good dice rolls, I think, at the very end there.
Yeah, you guys did pretty well on that one.
Finding the thing and whatever it was the hardest part of that whole thing. I find horror, when I'm trying to run something scary, as opposed to it being, hey, this big bad monster is going to kill you and eat your head. It's like, all right, we're playing a sword and sorcery fantasy game. We expect that kind of danger. Mm-hmm. And I try to make it so the monster isn't the focus. Having something where it's player versus environment, and the monster happens to also be there. I find that makes it a little bit better. Like Curse of Strahd wouldn't be great if you just get there and Strahd is like, hi, no, you don't get it. No, you get to stay here forever. But instead, you have to just deal with this dark, oppressive area that is Barovia. Well, there's similar tropes. If you look at like John Carpenter's The Thing, mm-hmm. That they had this creature that obviously had been amongst them, and they couldn't leave because they're stuck on an Arctic outpost. There's no place for them to go. So in a similar vein, we're stuck on this boat. There's no place for us to go in the DCC version. With some of the stuff that's coming up, you've got a lot of potential tropes they may be tropes, but they do work
Absolutely.
in some ways. You've got to at least have some things. Otherwise, people will just be like, "Screw this! It's scary. I'm leaving. Peace out." I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Locational horror relies on the characters being somewhat trapped in the location.
Yeah, it wouldn't be, the Friday the 13th stuff wouldn't be scary if they just like, we're no longer at this cabin in the woods.
Yeah, everybody getting in their
Let's just
jeeps
go.
and leaving. Yes, just drive away.
Yeah.
All right, cool. End of movie, great.
And so you do have to have some kind of buy-in from the players. If you're in a place where, hey, feasibly we can leave here, it's like, yeah, just don't. I want you to stay here. Oh, your horses are all dead. Sorry, you can't leave. Or whatever the thing is to keep them there. It's like, yeah, hey, how
your
are the
boat
horses
just
died?
sank.
They just did.
You can't leave the island now.
Yeah,
Big scary island.
All right, well, horse death is not going to happen to us because killing horses is very much not okay with Primula. So
that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
So what's Rob? You asked a good question on there. Saying how I go about starting to do it if I had to hand pick a system.
Yep.
What system would you pick for being spooky?
So I have a background that tells me that you can play any genre in any game system if you are willing to break the rules.
True.
I have done a not quite Alien style, more Dead Space style horror game in Star Wars.
Okay.
I have done an actual no crap encounter with a Death Knight in D&D, and that went off very well. So for those not familiar, Death Knights are old school, traditional evil characters from the past of D&D that have sort of dropped off. I think much to the loss of the current generation of players.
Yeah.
But basically, you have a long build-up, early introduction to the Death Knight character, who at the time just seems sort of off to the player characters. And then there's a long build-up of clues to the final revelation that, hey, this guy who's going around calling himself a knight is actually dead. And that's a problem because he's haunting this barony or this kingdom or whatever he's haunting. And then the players have to figure out how they deal with that. With an evil character, well, not evil. Evil's not fair. He's just a dead knight. But who's causing problems for the people. But isn't necessarily, trying to, and isn't necessarily evil. Just caught.
Yeah, I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong on how old Death Knights worked, but didn't they used to ride like flaming horses and very very Sleepy Hollow kind of look going on with them?
Yeah, nightmares.
Nightmares,
Nightmares.
Yeah.
Common mount for Death Knights. But I mean, you could just be riding a ghostly horse. Whatever works for how you want to set that character up.
Sure.
We've talked about running I guess it's dimensional horror. It is what Dead Space is technically, but in Stars Without Numbers. Just because that system is adaptable enough that we could totally do that in that system, and it would actually be interesting, and the mechanics would be relevant. So that's the key when you're doing something like this. When you're trying to take a genre that does not necessarily match with the game you're playing and put it into the game, you need to figure out how the mechanics of that game that you're going to play are going to line up with what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It does not work well if you try and throw space lasers, for example, into D&D. It just doesn't work very well. Mechanically, it might be able to support it, but it breaks down all of your storytelling at a point when you're just pew-pewing things from the distance.
Yeah, I think storytelling should be a big focus, far more mechanically, or far more than the mechanics of the game, especially for something like horror, because you need to be able to get out there and if people aren't scared, if you just tell your players like, all right, you feel scared, it's like okay, it just don't tell the players how they feel, show them how they're line that up and actually make them scared. Yep. Dirt Track Chick, we're talking about horror in games and spooky games that you can bring to your table and get your friends super excited about horror.
So,
and Halloween.
Reed, I introduced you to a game, I want to say, God, this was 4 or 5 months ago now, called Knights Black Agents. And I know you've had a chance to read it now.
Yes.
So why don't you talk to us about that?
Well, the thing I liked about it is it's kind of like special agents, spies, ninjas, and vampires all in one. And it's got its own elements of, James Bond and and vampires and international intrigue potential, and you get it all in one place. And I believe most of the characters are actually searching for the vampires. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So
Something like that,
I am
yeah.
not ruining anything for anyone by
Mhm.
telling you that the premise is in all Night's Black Agents games that there is a vampire conspiracy and your character knows about it.
Well, don't they like work for some shady government agency that's job is to hunt down vampires or supernatural or something like that? They're basically the Hellboy garbage truck company.
So that's one of the 4 setting options
Ah,
in the game. And I can't remember which. I think that's Burn. There's 4 of them. They play a little bit differently based on how you want to approach it.
sure.
The default version of the game is basically you're mostly X agency, X Special Forces, X Ninja Clan, whatever your background is, you've left them because you discovered the vampire conspiracy and you want to defeat the vampires, essentially.
Ah,
Which means you need to uncover clues, chase vampires across the world, etc., etc.
sounds cool. I'm down. What are you guys doing right now?
Well, we're kind of in the middle of a show, Mac. I think we need to wrap this up.
Okay.
But one of the things that we were talking about is running one of those for one of those Saturday short shots. So we'll probably have a few of those ongoing, and then we'll see what we go from there.
That's fair. Reed, are there any spooky games that are kind of your wheelhouse? Because he teed you up with the Night's Black Agents, but is there anything out there that you're like, ooh, I really want to play this? You've been kicking around the idea of like vampire or something, right?
Yeah, I really kind of started looking at both Night's Black Agents and Vampire, and it was, part of it was, hey, October's coming. What's some cool stuff we can look at? And we actually went with that Call of Cthulhu short shot just because I think there would be plenty of people running Vampire and other things. And
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I think the run up to do Vampire versus Call of Cthulhu, because Call of Cthulhu is actually pretty forgiving, I think, now that we've had a chance to look at it.
Not gonna lie, I had no idea what I was doing when I started.
Exactly. And if it's so easy, even Mac can run it. We know it's a great game. With Vampire and with Night's Black Agents, there's a little more crunchiness to it, but in a good way. It adds a different way of playing the game. It's a little more role play heavy as opposed to combat mechanics heavy. And that creates a different kind of game. It's very much in the realm of there's a combination of diplomacy as well as carrot and stick approach to certain things as well, and then also uncovering clues and figuring things out. So to do those in a way that would be fun and exciting, we wanted to spend a little more time on it. So World of Darkness has really caught my eye to the point where I've like jumped into various different groups and started talking with them that are doing this stuff all the time to see what they're doing, talking to our own people about it.
Reed has asked me for my first edition clan books. That's how deep he is,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. I mean,
He's real deep.
I must know more. And the Kindred, they're calling me. And then we've got a couple people on the team besides, Rob is obviously very knowledgeable about it, but there's also Josh. He plays Quentin on the Valkyrie. He knows Vampire really well as well. And then we've been brought in a couple other, I guess you could call them, what would we call those people in baseball? Pinch hitters?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something.
Ringers.
What do you call it when you bring in somebody who's really, really good?
Oh, a
ringer.
A ringer. Yeah, we got a couple ringers that we're talking to right now behind the scenes as well that are doing really cool stuff with us, running through some ideas. So.
Thank you so much for the
good.
cheer there,
Oh.
Kick Up High.
Thanks, Kick Up
High
High.
five?
High five. Yeah, high five.
I don't know how to interact with people.
We'll work on that, Mac. People, I know that people are not your strong suit. It's okay.
Nor is
Except
technology.
for the ones
It's
you
great.
have buried in the boxes in the back. But Vampire has really caught my eye, and it's not just Vampire, but it's the whole World of Darkness world. And I think they've actually got some stuff coming out here in the next few months anyway. So
Yeah,
that's
there's
brand
like a smaller or a lighter way to play it or something that was coming out. I didn't know what it was, so I didn't bring it up in the news.
I believe it
but I
involved
did see it
werewolves, very specifically.
Yeah, Werewolf
Yeah.
the Apocalypse.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's coming.
I am, as far as I know, the only person that has ever played Werewolf, and I had a lot of fun playing it. But yes, I'm very excited about the new version of Werewolf. I'm excited to see how the rage mechanics work specifically, because I believe that Ken Hyde is a genius.
When we had the game store, we used to have a group that played Werewolf like every other week, and they'd come and take. We'd give them both of the separate rooms, the private rooms. They'd take over both of those and run their games. And they were some of the coolest people ever. I mean, they came in cosplay, they did all sorts of cool stuff. They were really fun people who enjoyed their games. And because of that, it obviously seemed like a pretty cool crew to talk to. So I had a little bit of intrigue in the very beginning. So this has just made it that much more. Knowing that Vampire's here and Werewolf is coming, I think we'll see some more of that in our future here as well. But definitely some interest.
Well, excellent.
Plus, I mean, let's face it, we're in the DC area. You've got intrigue going all the way back to the Revolutionary War in this town, this politics and stuff. Like, if we can't do that in the DC area, like, we can't.
Yeah, I've seen some like vampire. I don't think it was Vampire the Masquerade, but stuff there. It ties into like the real world lore. This area's like, hey, what if Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter is one of those?
There's a very active, I think they play Mind's Eye Theater, very active vampire LARP in DC.
Mm-hmm.
And it's large. I think there's like 45 people that are playing regularly.
Damn. Yeah.
How do you maintain that? I just can't imagine.
45 isn't that huge for a LARP, but for Vampire, that's pretty big.
With
I've only
all
seen
the
a
nuances. Oh my goodness, that sounds like amazing. We got to find those people.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I mean, when we can, and
yeah, when we get out there and do that. I've done a little bit of Vampire LARP. It's intense. Is the best way to describe that. It's a great time, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had no desire to go back. I was like, I'm going to run around in the woods for my LARP.
You will actually learn a lot doing a Vampire LARP.
Yeah.
A lot about people, a lot about lying, a lot about acting, a lot about manipulation, and a lot about how humans are awful people.
Well, sounds like we need to all buy GoPro helmets. Let's make this happen.
Yeah.
So one of we've kind of been dancing around this, but I think Call of Cthulhu, just to keep things moving on through our show notes here. I think Call of Cthulhu is a fantastic way for people to be getting into the horror world, because not only is it a very mechanically light system, it's Cthulhu. It's the ultimate horror genre of, it's like, oh, hey, nothing matters. I guess space squids will eat the planet. All right, let's do this.
Yeah, I like Call of Cthulhu. The current version of the game, I've only read. I played it a million years ago, many, many editions ago, and I liked it back then when it was more mechanically complex.
Yeah.
But I like light mechanic games, so obviously I like it when it has lighter mechanics too.
Less rules I need to learn? Yes, please. So this is the thing that I picked up, and I was actually thinking about trying to run for the 3-shot, and it just didn't quite match up. If you're interested in getting into Call of Cthulhu, I've read it, cover to cover, and it's a good time. It's called Gateways to Terror. Gateways to Terror. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I'm just going to move it around like it's a DVD logo. So Gateways to Terror. Check it out. It has in it, they say 3 evenings of nightmares. What it really actually has are 3 very short one-shots. So if you don't really want to be writing the world yet, you want to figure out what you're doing and not have to homebrew an entire thing or buy, scour the internet. I picked this up at Eagle and Empire again, same place I plugged last week. And they do some really nice stuff in this book, but there's 3 very specific genres. There's one where you're going to Egypt. One of them is something scary happened in the cellar and you need to figure it out. And the other one is what's up with my neighbor. Yeah.
How many of us have thought that in real life?
Enough to where if I had a stream deck, I would just have Tom Waits' What's He Building in there just on loop. Just like, what's happening now? But they're all very short. They're all designed to be run between an hour and 2 hours. So that's a short time where it gets you right into the action, lets you play around with that a little bit, and then gets you out. Mm-hmm. There's also the quick start guide on the Chaosium website, which has a 2 or 3 hour scenario in it.
And it's very useful. It's very useful. Yeah.
So I'm plugging this hard just because I am currently on kind of a Cthulhu kick for the moment. And I thought that people should be enjoying that too. And we're running it on Saturdays at 3 p.m. right here on the Games Tavern. Check us out.
And he's being modest because he's actually the keeper of arcane lore.
Yeah.
Yes, the keeper of arcane lore for that one. And we've got a couple other people we should shout out on that too. Besides, we've got Michelle from the Velkin Weave. We've got Corey from the Velkin Weave. We've got Anna from Whiskey Magic and Destruction, and yourself.
Yep.
And then we've also got Dwight, aka Big Bearded Nerd. who runs his own regular Call of Cthulhu show.
He's been super helpful in like, hey, what's the check that I should be asking you for right here, buddy?
Yeah.
So he's. I love playing with Dwight.
He manages up well, yes.
Yeah,
and then we've got Jessie from. She's the
fantasy cartographer
for Duval and Dragons is what
Yeah.
I was looking for the term, but yeah, she's on Duval and Dragons, and she is loving it, and plays Dr. Watson, if I recall.
Yeah, Dr. Gene Watson.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of tongue in cheek going on there, but then it's also surprise, tentacle and brain. So it's it balances out very nicely.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think is most interesting about Call of Cthulhu is, in many cases, I think the thing that I learned the most recently as a noob trying to watch you guys and also having some Discord conversations about it was, it's great to be very intelligent in the game, but that's the one thing that works against you when you see things that shouldn't exist.
Yeah, that's sort of touching on the whole horror of Eldritch mythos. My favorite book in that whole thing is The Mountains of Madness, or At the Mountains of Madness, where a anthropologist, archaeologist, kind of just whatever, this guy studies old stuff, goes to Antarctica and finds a city that should not exist according to his 100% baked in known worldview. The existence of the city completely shatters that, and the monsters that he finds aren't even the scariest. They're elder things. They're terrifying, and they'll eat your soul. But that's not the thing that drives him mad. It's that everything he knows is wrong. And that is kind of a mind-shattering moment. And then there's the run away from the blind penguins. And it's great. I love it. It's a fun book.
Wait, penguins?
Blind penguins, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an experience read. But speaking of experiences, I know you guys don't just play tabletop role-playing games. Because I don't just play tabletop role-playing games. And I want Mac to talk about board games.
I don't have board games.
That's true. He doesn't have any board games.
That's true. Well, before we run there, I do want to do one last role-play game plug.
Okay.
Prim actually found this one. It's on D&D Beyond. It's how to do a one-shot for Strahd.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's worthwhile enough to throw it in. I've thrown it in the chat there, but it's basically how to throw a one night let's hunt Strahd in his own castle. And if you want that brand of horror where it's spooky vampire voices and yes, do that. Next week we're gonna go more into Strahd, because I'm assuming the Postal Service and Amazon work for me. I'll have my Curse of Strahd revamped, but check that out. That'd be really cool. I'm going to talk about it again next week, but sort of foreshadowing. Anyway, board games, boxes that come in boards, or games that come in boxes. I don't know.
Yes, those things. You know what? I'll start since Max seems a little bit discombobulated.
I just started drinking. Shut up.
Yeah, Dirt Track Chick actually mentioned this earlier. Ultimate Werewolf, and I guess Ultimate Vampire.
So both of them up there.
These are the one night variants. I really should have taken photos of this. These are the one night variants, and it's not particularly scary playing these, but they're on theme. So you play, one night werewolf, and that's kind of the thing that you have going on there.
Rob went to go get something interesting, I think.
Oh, I hope it's not
either that or he heard something and y'all are going to go get murdered.
Yeah, I don't live with him.
Good point.
But I personally like not one night, but what one night werewolf is everybody playing the game is assigned a role, and it really thrives around like 8 players, and everyone's assigned a role. There's 1, 2, 3 werewolves in the village. Everybody plays a villager of some form, and you need a narrator. The narrator, is like, all right, everybody go to sleep. All right, let's. If you're a werewolf, stick your thumb up. And, all right, werewolves, look around. These are the other werewolves. Congratulations. Choose somebody to kill. And then they kill somebody, and then then they go back to sleep. Then everybody in the town has abilities like check out somebody else's card, swap cards, ask if that person's a werewolf, ask who the werewolf is. So there's some interesting stuff that happens there. It's all light mechanics, and I'll talk you through it pretty easily. but it's a really, really great time. Dirt Track Chick is absolutely accurate. When one night ultimate anything plus alcohol equals a fun night. That is true. That is very, very true. When I actually first moved down here, I was living in Manassas for a while, and I was going to Crossroads Tabletop Tavern.
Mm-hmm.
And every Wednesday, I don't know if they're still doing this, they were hosting a werewolf time. Which was like, oh, that's really fun. I don't think they were playing one night. I think they were actually playing Ultimate. So it was the same idea, but as opposed to at the end of the deliberating session, if you didn't kill the werewolves, the night goes on and someone else gets murdered by werewolves. I completely forgot about that part. There's the deliberations after everyone wakes up in the morning and has done their role, where you get to then choose a member of the town and say that person's a werewolf, vote on it, and then light them on fire. Or hang them from the town gallows or whatever. So it's a fun kind of social deduction game that I have a lot of fun with, and I like the large groups and long playtime for that. What did you go pick up, Rob?
Dun, dun, dun.
The
Oh
Furry of
my
Dracula.
goodness! I remember when that came out.
So
Isn't that the remake?
this is the third edition, I want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, that looks good.
Published by Fantasy Flight Games. The first was Avalon Hill. I can't remember who made.
I thought the
second.
first one was Games Workshop.
Was the first
Yeah.
one Games Workshop?
Yeah.
That's a Games
Okay.
Workshop game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like Talisman.
It's
Anyway, oh my god, so much fun. The basic premise of the game is that you and your partners at the table, up to 5 players, are vampire hunters is probably too sophisticated of a term for it. Although one of you can definitely be a vampire hunter, but people interested in tracking down Dracula is really the way to think of it. It is a game of critical thinking and investigation and reduction to deductiveness and all of those things, where you and the other intrepid vampire hunters try to track Dracula around Europe and eventually encounter Dracula and hopefully be prepared to end the threat of Dracula.
Would that be waiting for him on a stake out?
No, Reed.
The
So
jokes
I'm
don't
going to
get
go
any
ahead and kick
better.
Reed out of the Zoom call.
Jokes don't get any better, guys.
I have to say this. I've played this version of the game twice now, and it's 3 hours at its worst. At its worst,
In terms of game length.
in terms of game length.
Yeah.
At its best, it's 7 hours.
No,
It's Twilight Imperium, but with vampires.
Oh,
no. You should be able to finish a session in between 2 and 3 hours. I know that's important for board game players.
Yeah, that's a game night. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a solid time. Open up.
It doesn't require you to leave a board set up for a week, which is the biggest problem with playing old games like Axis and Allies. Yeah, no, it's a great game. Back.
Yeah, no, I've heard. I've never actually played Fury of Dracula. I got it right this time, Dirt Track Chick. I've never actually played it, but I've heard absolutely wonderful things about it. And one of the whenever I go to my old conventions before everything happened, I would go through the through like the flea markets, and I was always trying to find like a first edition printing of Fury of Dracula, just because I'm that kind of nerd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to either pick that up or play somebody else's copy, because it sounds like a great game. Has that reputation.
Yeah. Again, I cannot say enough good things about this game. One of the best board games I've ever owned. And I owned the first edition of Hero Quest.
there's no way you're going to say that's better than Hero Quest, but it's if
As I
you're
said-
even putting it up there though, that's saying something.
Yeah, if
One
it's
of
in
the
that
best.
tier, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited. New Hero Quest is coming out soon, so it's not scary though, so it's not appropriate here. Another game, just pivoting back to top of my pile here.
There are skeletons, Mac.
There are skeletons, and there's a necromancer, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It depends on
Who
which
knows?
edition you're playing, but it could be a necromancer. There's a demon or a gargoyle. It's a bloodthirster, but they said gargoyle because. Anyway, this is way out there. Online with some of the stuff we were talking about earlier, anything of the, I believe it's Fantasy Flight, Cthulhu Mythos games are great. The Arkham Horror, Mansions of Madness, Elder Sign. I just picked this up today because really enjoy the game. The game itself isn't particularly scary, but you get to play in that world. I believe in this one you're running around a museum and trying to pick your deity from eating the planet. Okay, cool. I thought you said Necromancer Baby.
Keep your deity from eating the planet. I mean, yeah.
Necromancer Baby. But yeah, it's a standard run around and stop Cthulhu and his friends from doing something terrible. I love that kind of gameplay because it is thematic, it's interesting, and it's not too rules heavy. Because I do a lot of, I almost my game nights involve a drink or two, and it's like, you know what, I don't need to break out Twilight Imperium and this 45-page, tome of the chapters to figure out what is going on with this game.
Well, I mean, if you do it is the happy hour.
It is. But if you do it right, and you set the scene, you have spooky music playing in the background, any game that's vaguely on brand, so with Cthulhu, yeah, you play, spooky, oh, hey, we're moving around a library kind of area, or music, you can have a great time playing it. And honestly, I've actually used some of the tabletop audio stuff for that, because they have a huge library of stuff, and a couple of them are actually basically like creeping around a museum. Perfect, done. And it just sets the scene. It does a really nice time of doing that. Turn the lights down a little bit. That's why I installed all of those dimmer knobs. Yeah, it's a cool time. Just a little bit of ambiance goes a long way to setting the scene. So you're not just moving paper chips around on the board. You're actually playing in the museum and trying to stop the end of the world.
So my
do you ever just stop and go, Alexa, turn on frighteningly scary ambiance, and then watch?
No, I don't
the
have an
magic
Alexa.
happen?
I've thought about it, but
no.
Oh, crap! I just set one off.
Just red alert.
Back room.
Yes. That's what happens when you talk to them. They do things.
Damn you, Alexa!
I will say that my all-time favorite. My dad has a copy of Vincent Price's Ghost Stories on vinyl.
Nice.
And just running that at 3/4 speed in the background.
Vincent Price's voice.
Super creepy.
Oh my gosh.
What would Vincent Price at 75% speed sound like? It's like part of like the tone was a big point of it, because it would drop the tone. And, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like normal.
No, it's something.
Ooh, okay. I gotta play. I'm gonna go to YouTube after this and start playing around with the speed, because yes. Quick side note: you always see the Saturday Night Live Vincent Price Christmas special.
No, but we should watch that on Discord.
I feel like that's not even a joke.
So...
It's not a joke.
Yeah,
it's not even. It had to have happened.
Yeah, the show typically ends at 9, so right around 9 o'clock, we're all going to be on Discord watching the Vincent Price Christmas special on SNL. We will make sure everyone can see it with us. So.
Fantastic. Marilyn Monroe
join us in
shows
Tavern
up.
Chat 1 for that one.
Audrey Hepburn shows up with an axe and a Christmas tree. Like, who doesn't love that? Yeah. That's
I happen to know personally that Audrey Hepburn does not do yard work.
It's not yard work. Oh, is she dead? So anyway.
She's doing butchery, sir. Butchery.
Yeah. So, I do recommend, if you're getting into the Cthulhu Mythos games, just trying to be laser focused here, guys. God, I hate both of you. You're just tearing us apart. But no, if you're getting into the Cthulhu Mythos games, Elder Sign, I think, is probably the best place to get jumping in. It's not a card game like the Arkham Horror card game. I think it's called a Cthulhu card game. But it's also not Mansions of Madness that takes 2 or 3 hours to set up for a 2 or 3 hour game. So it's a nice balancing point there. Mansions of Madness is by far a better gameplay experience, but it does have that very, very heavy buy-in of the host is going to be setting this up for a few hours before everybody shows up.
Is it really that much set up for Mansions of Madness?
It is, yeah, because you have probably 25 rooms, each of which have to have a very specific order of very specific cards as you search the rooms, and you have to set everything up, and you have to align it. So it's 2 hours is probably a little bit much, but still, an hour of setup time is not unheard of. The person who was setting it up also wasn't, he was all thumbs and all that, but having looked behind the scenes, it's like running a role play game.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
do need to
So
have
there's-
a lot of investment in there.
There's an hour to 90 minutes of work there. Yeah.
There's also, kind of in a similar fashion, there's another game out there. I just remembered it. It's not on the list, so I hope I don't break everything too much. But Betrayal at House on the Hill.
I've never played that.
Yep. Neither have I.
Oh,
That's why it's not on the list, Reed.
It's magnificent.
Okay.
And I won't say any more about it right now. We'll save that one for another time. But Betrayal at House on the Hill, it's a magnificent game. And then for those of you who like Dungeons and Dragons, they created a similar one called Betrayal at Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, that's in the same. What was it? The Legend of Dritz, I think, where it's a build 'em out dungeon as you crawl through. They're all this kind of the same game, right?
Similar mechanics, different world, different cards that make things happen, stuff like that. But yeah, it's really a cool way that they've reskinned it in a way to make it immersive for that world and bring in all the creepiness that is Baldur's Gate into a board game that's functional.
Did they do a Strahd one of those?
No, they have not.
They need to, because I want more Barovia.
I think Strahd did enough of his own betrayals that he really needs no additional ones. Maybe
just make it a prequel. So we have Arkline in the chat saying there is an Arkham Horror living card game. There is. I typically try to I have a couple living card games that I do enjoy, but the reason I didn't recommend that one, instead I recommended Elder Sign, is because it does have a little bit more board gameness to it. But yeah, the Arkham Horror living card game is cool. If you like that and you want to have some more card game play, that's great. Go with that one. What else do we have in there, guys?
I think you wanted to talk about, because you brought this up earlier. Hang on a moment. Dead of Winter.
Dead of Winter.
Oh, right, that's a good one. And they've even got sequels to that one too.
They do. I don't have him. I just have the main box because it's a little bit of a setup intensive game, but this is a different kind of horror game. As opposed to you're running out and oh no, Cthulhu's coming. There's a zombie apocalypse and your goal here is just survive with your colony. It's has a lot of the Walking Dead vibes going with it, if that actually makes a lot of sense there. But as you go, you have to run errands, and just traveling from the base to go to the place where you can find food is incredibly dangerous. And you have, I think, a 20% chance of just dying outright. It's a very, very dangerous game, but it does set a very bleak and awful and depressing tone. Oh, and there are zombies there too.
Yeah, kind of that trope about you can't just take off anywhere because it's freezing cold, deadly outside. It's
but you
fantastic.
have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And the more people that you rescue, the more your food expenses go up. And when your food expenses are faster than or are bigger than your ability to feed your people, you have to remove some, whether by pushing them out into the cold or into the meat grinder. So it's not humanity at its finest in this game. That said, it is a very, very fun game. One of my personal favorites, which is why I own it. Have either of you actually played it?
I did, and I've even played The Long Night. And the only thing I'll tell you is you got to play them to really understand and experience the painful decision making that goes into that game. But,
yeah, it sucks, but like in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like no one's having fun here. It tees up going to the bar after game night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never played. I've heard great things. Maybe on game night we'll play.
Yeah, we'll add it to the list.
Yeah, please.
Because we have that. We have Fury of Dracula. Yeah, that's an easy one that everybody has, or that we have, and we can get everybody in on. And this one actually, you can have quite a few people playing. I think you can have like 6 people playing this game.
Yeah, you can. And not only that, but the expansion adds so much more to it too.
Oh yeah.
And they've both been linked in chat. So
hey, there we go.
Plaid Hat Games makes a number of fantastic games. If you haven't checked them out, definitely do so.
Yeah, one of my favorites. They're European, they're French, aren't they?
They're Plaid Hat Games, man. That's all you need to know.
I know. I tried to keep track of that because like, oh, this feels like a European style game versus Monopoly.
The Euro versus the American stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're actually an American, but hold on, I'll tell you.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
While he's
What's the next thing we're going to talk about while I do that?
Yeah. Well, so while he's digging, another spooky Halloween thing that I really think is worth talking about are seances. Everybody gets around the table, holds hands, and the weird person kicks the table leg, and we're saying that we're being visited by ghosts. However, what if I could promise you that the ghost was real and actually providing real information to you, and it's about who killed them? I'm setting up Mysterium here. It's a very, very interesting game, not only because you get to play in a seance. All the players are either the ghost, so sort of in a dungeon master, game master position. They have a screen and everything, which we love that kind of thing around here. But then all the players themselves are playing psychics who are trying to identify the ghost's killer. Ah, from Ashland, Ohio. Okay, well, I stand corrected.
Bad Hat Games is from Ashland, Ohio.
Excellent.
But go on with your
Yes. So, the ghost isn't allowed to talk. Once the game starts, the ghost just throws the duct tape over their mouth and communicates exclusively through knocking on the table. So yes or no is a predetermined number of knocks, and by passing out vision cards, which are very beautiful and surreal cards of dreams. Some of them are like, oh, hey, look, this is a room with a bunch of keys on the walls. Some of them are like, holy cow, Alice in Wonderland is going on an acid trip. And everything in between. So the deck of cards is probably about 3 inches thick, and they're like tarot-sized cards. So
Did you go through all the cards in the course of the game? Or
you do not, no.
Okay.
If you do, you're doing something wrong. Or you have a lot of players and you're doing something wrong. But every character has a clue list of whodunit, a person, a place, and a thing, where it happened, what was used to kill them, and who killed them. And everybody has their own suspect chain there. So if there's four detectives or 4 psychics, there will be 5 options out on the table for each item. So it's like, all right, Reed, I'm telling you that I want your killer is the guy with the bowler hat and mustache. To do that, though, I might give you the Picasso Bluist painting, because I feel like this is going to be a thing between me and you, where you're going to pick up on what I'm laying down here and go, oh, the shape of the blue swipe here is the shape of his mustache. And so you really got to know the people you're playing with and hope that they're on the same wavelength as you are for what
See a
this
lot of
art
ghost
represents.
messages being misinterpreted.
Yeah, it does that a lot. So it's a very, very interesting game on that kind of front. A lot like Apples to Apples or Cards Against Humanity or anything on those lines, where you have to play to your audience and know who, try and get on their wavelength. This is that kind of thing. So I highly recommend checking this out. It is a very, very interesting game. It made this list simply because it's a spooky seance. And you can have throw some spooky ambiance music on there, and everybody will have a grand time.
I dig it.
Yeah. And again, you get, as the ghost, you get to hide behind a screen, so you don't have to actually look at people.
We could probably play this one on Discord.
I think we could.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the games I'm looking at right now. I'm trying to figure out how to actually play games remotely.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a thing that could happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what else we got on this list here, peoples?
Well, we've got a personal favorite because I like miniatures, Zombicide.
I was hoping you'd pick that one up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually have the Zombicide box somewhere. I have actually, hang on, I do have the box. Hold on one second, I'll go grab it. Because I've got literally a mountain of zombies from the medieval version, the Black Plague.
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on a second, let me grab that box.
Rob and I will banter amongst ourselves. So, Rob, what's new with you?
I've never played Zombicide.
Really?
I know Reed has asked me about it before, and I think you have as well.
Yeah.
So I played a lot of board games when I was younger, and then I had a career that intervened in my life dramatically and did not have time.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I
missed a bunch.
all my stuff that I've been working on has dramatically from my new studio location, I can look into the closet of unfinished miniatures projects, and it's as tall as I am. So time has been weird. There we go.
This is the box, and
Nice.
the thing is this box is big and thick and full of minis. The Black Plague box alone, I picked up for the minis, which are spectacular, and I'm painting them all up right now. But in addition to that, it comes with these great tiles, and it's a game. I mean, you can play Zombicide with it, but you can also do everything else with these miniatures and these tiles too. But really, the box game set itself is kind of like a mini role-playing game that is kind of fun to play. And then there's all sorts of expansions for Zombicide as well. This one's the Black Plague. They've got stuff that takes place in the modern era, so you got chainsaw wielding, all sorts of stuff, and guys in coveralls going, "Oh my gosh!" and they're wielding shovels or whatever. And then I think they even had one with a circus carnival clown creepy thing going on, and yeah.
So for the unindoctrinated who have not played Zombicide, it is you have a bunch of set scenarios where you lay out the tiles, and then your goal is to achieve some objective on the board. It's usually collect 3 of this thing, or just get to the exit, or turn on the car alarm, or whatever it is. And the whole time, you don't need a dungeon master or a game master to run the game, because it has a pretty simple AI that makes it go, where the zombies will move towards the first person within line of sight of them. If there's no one within line of sight to them, they're going to move to the largest population of people or the loudest square, whichever is closer. And every action you do, if you use a sledgehammer on a door, it makes noise, and the noise tokens stick around and they attract zombies. It's very, very interesting. If you're looking to do horror games, as this genre is, I would recommend the original one, the modern day stuff, sort of give you a Dawn of the Dead kind of feel. Whereas Zombicide, Black Plague, and I think there's Green Menace, and which is the orc one, and then there's Wolfsburg, where you have to fight werewolves. That has a much more fantasy kind of, or it is in fantasy. It's like medieval Europe somewhere.
Hey, it's all horror.
No, it's good.
You just pick your flavor. Just pick your flavor.
Yeah. And of the 2 of them, I believe they've fixed the original rules. But when Black Plague first dropped, it was such a better system. Because the first one had... it's a French company that translated via Google, and the rules did not work. So the Black Plague rules were much, much better. They fixed that in subsequent releases.
Guillotine Games is the company.
Guillotine Games is great company. I really like their stuff. But the first edition of Zombicide had some pretty weird rule things that didn't quite work. The second edition, which was basically Black Plague, had a whole bunch of really great rules. So anytime we went back and played my friend's original edition, we used Black Plague rules instead. Everything was great. But it's a great game. I do recommend it.
I'm excited to actually get a chance to play it. It sounds like there's a lot of interesting double uses for it, kind of like Hero Quest back in the day.
Yeah. Well, do you remember way back at the beginning of Whiskey Magic and Destruction, we were entering a town that was being attacked by Yuan-Ti?
Fort Tamal?
Yeah, Fort Tamal. There we go. Those boards were Zombicide.
Okay.
Yeah. So it works out really well for that kind of thing.
And
Dirt Track Chick is, I'll take no horror personally. That's my favorite. All right. That's fair. Not everybody enjoys that. Not everybody enjoys the spookiness of it, which is fair. At this point, I'll play anything besides Cards Against Humanity. I agree. Cards Against Humanity is fun, like as an end of the night kind of thing,
game.
In my opinion.
Yeah, it's a great game when you're in the mood for it.
Yeah, but as a, hey, let's get together and play Cards Against Humanity, it's like, I gotta drive 5 minutes to get to you. No.
I think Dirt Track Chick missed our earlier discussion on how to have the conversation with your group about what's okay as far as horror games.
I believe she did, yeah.
Yeah, so we had a long conversation about that. I feel like your group should say no to horror games just because you're saying no to horror games.
Yeah. But, even then you can include some wacky, non-scary parts of just, the ghosts and goblins Halloween stuff. Where it's like, hey, check it out. Strahd is over there chewing the scenery this time. He's not actually being a big scary vampire. And just how you run that kind of stuff can dramatically change how you play and how the actual overall tone of the game is. So you can still go play Curse of Strahd without being a horror module. So it's a very flexible system there. So are we missing anything in the chat here? I don't think so.
I think so. I think
A lot of comments about a thick
I just
box.
linked the boxes for Guillotine games
Oh,
and
great.
stuff like that too, so that people can find it.
All right, well, are everybody out there in the
Good.
chat? This seems like a great opportunity to throw it to you. Are there any games that you recommend us to chat about or that you would recommend? Hey, I want to throw a Halloween party, or I want to get my players in the mood for spookiness. What do you do? What things do you recommend playing? What modules or systems or board games or Heads Up 7-Up if you play it spooky? I don't know. What games do you do to get into the spooky mood? And we all stare at the chat.
Well, while we're waiting for some of that, let's also talk about some of the things you can do with ambiance. I mean, you brought up using tabletop audio just to have stuff in the background. There's some things you can do with lighting too.
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily turning lighting off, although that's an option. You can also change the colors of the lights. For example, like what you see behind me with the green is an option, but there's also options to get some of those. If you're in an apartment where fire safety is a requirement, some places they don't let you actually use candles. You can get battery operated candles that look hyper realistic, and they can go all over, and you can use a bunch of those and have those in the background flickering in the distance, at the same time adding a certain amount of light to your games.
Then you can also a trick I've learned for making your boring apartment a more interesting or thematic place to be playing on is to dim the lights in the area where you're not in. Throw up curtains. Like, curtains are fantastic. If you just have blinds, throw up some heavy velvety curtains or something you can find that's interesting, just to add a little bit more of, hey, I'm not just playing in a box. And put on some spooky music and have a good time there. And policing phones is a really good way to do it. Please don't have your phone at the table. Keep everybody engaged with what's going on. And do what casinos do and eliminate everybody's perception of the outside world.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on top of that, there's also some great ways to set up around the house. I mean, like black table covers, very inexpensive. You can pick those up relatively easy.
Yeah.
You can pick up a couple of these little Halloween, like grayish, they look like old tattered rags, type things that you can decorate with. Or you can get them in white and you can get them in black as well. I recommend gray if you're going to put a black cover on it. Kind of makes it look old or aged.
So,
yeah,
one of the things that I will recommend is a long-term apartment dweller. You probably have a white noise machine. Plug it in and put it at the door. That way, everything that is outside of the door is white noise. You manage to keep the ambiance inside of wherever you're playing. And if you live in a house and don't happen to have one, they're relatively cheap now. I think they're like $25.
Yeah, they're basically just a speaker that plays static.
Yeah, and it's worth it because you can close a space off without actually having to close it off, which makes it creepier.
Yeah, anything you can do to remove people from reality and say, hey, what's happening outside isn't a thing. That helps to draw them in. It's honestly the same kind of stuff I do for any home sessions I'm running for whatever it is we're playing. Just because it's like, all right, I'm going to turn off the lights in the other rooms because I don't want to be distracting me. But like, oh, I see my cats are doing something stupid in the next room. Nope, light off. Or I see, or my guests are really interested in my couch because it's high quality.
Or even buying multicolored LED smart bulbs, which you can control from your phone, an Alexa app, any of those different things that are there like that. You can change the color to fit the ambiance of what you're doing at that moment. So during your games, if you were in a sewer, for example, you could have, green flickering lights like what I have. And then when they go inside the dark, scary castle, they can have a dim blue light. Or when the necromantic energy starts to dial up, have a purple light start to pull in and change things up.
Yeah.
Switch to orange when things start to catch fire.
Yep.
You've got options with those kinds of things that really can make it an immersive experience for those around you as well.
One of the things I found, this is from my days of LARPing, but it's applicable here, have in-universe or fantasy mugs. If everybody's drinking from a tankard, that immediately ratchets everybody back up one layer. If you can hide you were playing role playing games. Everybody needs notes at the table, but if you can hide those in something that looks authentic to the time period that you're playing in, even if it's just a leather bound binder or it's just a binder itself, so all in one place. Yeah, that kind of stuff just takes you up one more notch to remove. Basically, you're trying to remove things that remind you you're playing a game.
So one of the other tricks that I've used in the past, it is the cold season, which means that a lot of people are running humidifiers at home.
Oh, yeah.
You can purchase essential oils and put those on your humidifier. You can purchase essential oils in such wonderful scents as Graveyard and Turned Earth. And yes, those exist.
You're not welcome at my place anymore, man. Like,
Mac, I see nothing but prank opportunities, good sir. I think you've just added something else to my trick bag.
I get Turned Earth, but Graveyard? What does that smell? What does Graveyard smell like?
It actually smells a little bit like Turned Earth and fresh grass.
Yeah, fog and sorrow.
Oh, well, here's a question I can't answer. So Dirt Track Chick is asking where I find my mugs. I don't want to say Amazon, but Amazon is a really, really good place to get them. Because you can get you can get metal tankards there for I think about $7 to $10. You can even get just glass or white or clear plastic for half that cost. There are a couple other ones that I go to that I'm a big fan of. Alehorn has good stuff, but I don't recommend them because they're beeswax lined, and you need to know what you're doing when you're cleaning beeswax.
I recommend Horn of Trouble, which is a local
good
business that is also run by a very heavy hardcore gamer who I've known for years and years, and he's a great guy, and he stands behind every product that he makes. Highly recommend it. They're also a local to the area, guys. I'll make sure you guys get some introductions later.
See, my strategy was just to go to every ancient brewery in Europe and get the Stone Steins.
Yeah, we don't all have those options. But the one that I get most of my mugs from, I think I have 2 or 3 of their things now, is Valhalla horns. They're on the Ren Fair circuit, so they're honestly at this point they'd probably be very, very happy to have someone check out their website and buy something because it's been a rough year.
Yeah.
But the reason why I go with them as opposed to Alehorn is because they're lined with a food safe resin, so you can wash them with something hot, or you can put coffee in them. That's my reasoning for going for there, because when I was LARPing, I'm just going to keep hollering back there, more often than not, I was walking around with caffeine or a hot toddy. So, having something that doesn't melt on me is very, very nice.
Yeah, I just don't. So that's one thing I like, because I've gotten so used to using horned, drinking horns and stuff like that. When it comes to drinking horns, I just don't ever put anything hot in them because it's just, you never know which one you're going to forget is one way or the other. And besides that, hot toddies are for metal. That's that's how you warm your hands.
Yeah.
Well, it's just it's a cup of tea with more alcohol in it. Because LARPing while sober is for losers. But yeah, check out.
Or the people driving home.
Yeah, I sleep there at the camp. So I'm going to go ahead and, because I do like them, Valhalla horns. Check them out, guys. They have some pretty cool stuff. Again, they're the ones that seal with food safe resin on most of their things. If you're going down that line and you want to buy horns, please double check that the item that you're purchasing is not sealed with beeswax if you want to have a maintenance-free modern cup.
There are a lot of very, very nice modern resins that are completely food safe and look and behave almost like beeswax.
Yeah. If you're not doing a reenactment where they care about that, there is absolutely zero reason to seal with beeswax anymore.
Yes.
Because there's a reason we don't do it anymore. But yeah, other random places. I have a Bugman's horn I picked up at Bugman's, or a Bugman's leather tankard I picked up there. Made that pilgrimage last year.
One at Warhammer World.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's my pride and joy of tankards. Other places I've picked some up. Yeah, there's a bunch of really good ones. Honestly, if you have a local Renaissance fair, somebody was saying they're up in New York. Check out the Tuxedo Ren Fair was the big one that I was going to in that area. they have a vendors list of places where they go, and I believe one of their subcategories is now just horns. If that's what you want, check those out. The wooden ones can be a little pricey, but they're very, very nice. So check, if that's the kind of thing you're looking for to help to up your ambiance, which I highly recommend, because if you're just sitting around with cans of beer, you can even just put them in glasses, frankly.
Cans of beer? What are you, a peasant? Ugh.
Yeah, and if you just put everything into a glass, it all of a sudden raises things up just a little bit. Anyway, you guys got anything else for content before we start, rapidly spinning out of control?
No, except thank you to chat for so much of the great commentary today. I think one of the things we're going to be integrating in is some alert boxes and chat boxes into the stream. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
I think that'll be good. So everyone else can see some of the great commentary that you guys have there too. I think as an aside, we will probably post all these same links from chat into the Discord for the Games Tavern. So check it out. So you'll be seeing that in the Games Tavern Happy Hour under the TGT live streams family of channels there. So just go in, check them out. You'll see all the links there for everything that we've posted up today. Anything else you guys want to add?
I do have one save round.
Yeah.
We talked about the Call of Cthulhu mythos. I do want to say that there is, for the people that are less into the being scared out of my pants genre,
I know where this is going.
Delta Green does exist.
Oh yeah.
And it lets you interact with that mythos and that world and play some real good horror sequences, but still have characters that are strong enough, powerful enough to handle the darkness.
It's basically Night's Black Agent Cthulhu.
Mm-hmm. I mean that's what a way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're government agents. You're the army, or you're the Marines, or you're the government agency.
You're Delta Green.
Yeah, you're Delta Green, who are going in to fight Cthulhu, as opposed to going in to fight the vampire menace.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really cool thing. I know that a couple people in the chat have, or in the Discord, have talked about maybe running some of that. So I'm currently trying to butter up the potential keeper there to.
There you go.
Buy a slot. But then there is also Pulp Cthulhu, which is I'm a detective
Pulp
with
Cthulhu.
Tommy gun.
Yeah. See.
Yeah, it's really leaning into the film noir tropes. So it is less horror based. There is still the sanity mechanics, but not quite as abusive. It's more crap.
It's adjacent.
Yeah,
it's adjacent. Yeah, I wanted to point out that I have actually played a horror. Well, I guess it ended up being almost a campaign, but it was supposed to be a horror arc in Spirit of the Century, which is a 1920s pulp style game. So yeah, anything is possible.
Yeah,
as long as you're willing to lean into it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And on that note, I think we might as well lay out some of the things we're doing for the rest of the week. Tomorrow night is the Velkin Weave. They're doing all sorts of great stuff. Grant is taking them on wild adventures now.
They've just taken off on a magic carpet from a cloud giant's lair after defending it from a fire giant assault, and now on to discover the next portion of their adventure.
Yes.
Yes. The Velkin Weave has gone big, and I'm scared because I think it's still going bigger.
Yeah, I don't know where you go from. Storm Giants? Is that the next one?
I think. Does anyone in chat remember the name of the two characters they brought with them?
Like Pete and Bargle or something like that.
Yeah, they got two hilarious NPCs they brought with them too that are off the charts. I think that that's going to be very interesting to see how that goes with them, because those two cats actually have come with them.
Deet and Tobias.
Deet and Tobias. Yes.
Yeah, Tobias and Deet. Thank you there, Crystal.
Yes, genuinely worth the watch.
Yeah, it's a fun time. And then all of us are getting together again on Thursday.
And what better horror than the dark, cold, underdark? And if I recall correctly, the party had just woken up and was starting to go through things when Cthulhu struck our technical systems, breaking them. So we'll be re-picking back up.
We're basically ignoring last
And
week.
I think at some point in the middle of the night, echoing through the caverns, they'd heard some metal on metal. but then it went silent almost immediately.
I don't even know if any of that stuff actually got out. Like that was.
Yeah, somebody heard it. I don't know if they told the rest of the party.
No, I'm saying like out onto Twitch because we had a lot of crashes, so we might just have to completely ignore.
Yeah, we just nuke it and start it right on it. Why not? You know,
Yeah,
we'll just review notes and just go from there.
Yeah.
I do want to say that the real terror is actually dealing with all of the fungi notes that we keep getting.
So many fungi notes. Reed's like, I wrote a dissertation on fungus in college, so here you go.
I did not. I did not. Believe it or not, there's a lot of really good stuff in there, and just because you don't like it doesn't mean that other people don't. Just because you don't want useful knowledge from a ranger in the Underdark doesn't mean that other people wouldn't be happy with that.
Yeah, so
I'm not saying that my character hates it. I'm saying that I personally hate the fact that I'm having to read about fantasy mushrooms.
Oh no! See, do what I do is like, oh yeah, my character knows about these now, so appropriate decision. I'm not actually a wizard. I don't know how to cast spells.
My name is Mac, and my goal is to shortcut anything involving
homework.
No, there was none of that. I mean, like, I actually dropped that in so that other people could see the kind of stuff you guys were learning about.
Reed has only written like 4 pages. It's not that much.
Full credit. That was not me. That was actually the people from Dungeons and Dragons that wrote all that. That is not from me.
Yeah.
That is not from me. I mean, there's a couple things I've sprinkled in that are not in those notes that are from me. But that's
still a lot of reading on fake mushrooms.
Yeah, it is.
They're not fake. You just haven't been in the Underdark, sir.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So the cold darkness of the Underdark and the shadows within, we'll see how the party fares in this horrific season.
Yes. The fungus among us.
Yes. Fungus among us. And then Saturday, I don't believe either you two are playing, but we're going to have a bunch of great people on at 3 p.m. We're going to 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're still in Daylight Savings.
I believe so.
Eastern Daylight Time, 3 p.m. We're going to be doing the second part of our Call of Cthulhu short shot series, where basically madness has happened in the small town of Westport, Massachusetts, and the local professor is gone mad and needs some help, and the players are just generously trying to provide that for the small sum of $123. So, I don't know, 3 or 4 mentions.
You know, there was a poll that went up on that show saying, you know, who do you think's going to go mad first? Everybody voted, and it was not those people at all who are already starting to suffer horrifically from that.
Oh, I thought it was I thought it was, she's going to die. And I'm like, yes.
No, there was a second poll for that one.
Okay.
A second poll for that one where people were button mashing some stuff, you self included, you jerk. But it turned out she didn't die.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, so far the fans, the people watching have been 0 for 2 on the polls on guessing how this is going to work out. Not because anyone's going against them, but because it just didn't work that way.
So we have Dirt Track Chick, or we have Crystal saying, rolling 100 was impressive, and then Dirt Track Chick saying, as someone who missed because of work, what? So yes, Anna was playing, her character was playing around with some tablets, and I'm like, all right, well, roll a sanity check on this thing you're trying to read, and she rolled 100 and suffered a seizure and I think 15 points of sanity damage and lost some time and a bunch of other stuff. Like, she doesn't even know about the rest of it.
And it was very irritable when she woke up.
Yeah,
very irritable.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. So there's a lot of really fun stuff that's coming down the pipeline on that one that I'm looking forward to seeing how we can get the end of this story out. But right now we're rapidly approaching the middle. So it's we have 3 more weekends of this. We have this week, or 2 more weekends, this weekend and next weekend. So check us out, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and we'll see you guys there.
Big thank you to Scuba Man 0014 for following us today, and for all the new friends we met in chat and spoke with today. We really appreciate you guys supporting everything that we're doing. We hope we're giving you news and value that you guys are finding exciting. So.
Yeah, and guys, this is a lot more fun when everyone is in there chatting it up, because otherwise I could just pontificate at the news and my opinions, and no one wants to see that without me interacting with you guys.
Yeah, no. Nobody wants to talk to Mac or Rob or Reed. We want to talk to you guys and hear your opinions.
Yeah, we talk to each other enough, and we're here for you. So thank you again for making our jobs easier by engaging. I do greatly appreciate it. I'm sure these guys like it also. I'm trying to gesture, but my screen is tiny. I have everything scoped for
I have a
solo
tiny
show.
screen and I can't quite touch my.
All right. Anyway,
Yeah, all right.
this is getting weird. So we're gonna go ahead and sign off here. Again, tomorrow night, Velkin Weave at 7 p.m. Thursday night is going to be Whiskey Magic and Destruction at 7 p.m. Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. All these are Eastern time. We're going to be having the Call of Cthulhu at 3. And then again, us here on what are we? Games Tavern Happy Hour. I had to check my notes.
Hello,
here at
New
7.
Jersey.
Boy, it's great to be here. So check us all out. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. And we will... anything else? Or are we just going to...
No, we're
No,
good.
I think
Take
we're good.
care, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you
Thank you,
next
everybody.
week.